I need to use this tool on my router table. We already saw it in a previous video. I need it to finish a round wooden frame I am making. But the plate of my router table does not have the needed hole to install it. No problem. I'm going to make another board with this simpler plate, which does have a hole. I mark the perimeter. The holes for the anchor screws, and the hole for the tool I need to use. My first intention was to upload this video to my other channel without comments. That is why I use this router table, and not the one I made on this channel, also with the big insert plate. But because so many things happened, I thought it was better to add comments to it. I take the measurement up to the hole, and that will be the width of the rabbet that I am going to make. For this board, I think it will be enough. Well, I rounded the corners. That always gives some more support surface. I use the jigsaw to cut the opening. I already put the double-sided tape on the slats, and I surround the insert plate with them. I leave you the link to a video where I do this in more detail and with extra tricks. This router bit with bearing will allow me to copy the shape and make the recess in a single pass. I will have to go over the rounded corners, because they are a little wider than the router bit. I put the router bit and the plate on the palm router. And now those two plywood sheets, together, are slightly thicker than the insert plate. I put 2. And 2. And this way I can adjust the routing depth. Okay, and I am going to route the rabbet. I remove the slats by turning them inwards. This decreases the chance of lifting pieces of the plywood off the board. With a double layer of pieces of sandpaper, the insert plate is level. Since I was using the base of the router table from the channel without comments, and the video was for that channel, I wanted to cut the new board to the same size. The board will be held in place with some screws, but I will still have to fix some unexpected things. Mark where the plate screws go. But underneath there's little thickness of board left for the screws. Another thing, I want to be able to put these bolts in, or remove them, when the new board is on the router table. Okay, I forgot that the table also has 2 screws underneath. In order to get these 2 bolts in, I'm going to drill the holes in the new board. I use 2 screws to hold the board in place. And now I mark where to make the holes for the bolts. I just have to drill them, with the help of a marter so as not to splinter the exit from the hole. I made the holes so that the heads of the bolts pass through them. What I least expected is that when I put this tool in there, with the board, I cannot put in the screw that holds it. The knob hits the board and does not allow the screw to be aligned with the hole. I thought about using a normal screw, but getting it in is a pain. Well, I'm going to make the holes for the screws now. And I put the board back in place. Now the strips don't allow me to put the knob to the side. That is why the knob must go like this. Or like this. So I would put the router table here held with the bolts. And I decided to put the hole towards the bolts. Okay, here I made the worst mistake of the entire video. I marked the height of the knob there on the edge. What did I forget? We will see it right away. I adjust the routing depth. I adjusted it a little below the mark. And I routed, so calmly, a recess for the knob. Do you already know what happened? What problem is there? I have to pay attention to these things. Okay, let's solve it. Here I have a thin plywood sheet, and when I marked the height of the knob, then I adjusted the milling height from the plywood sheet. But there is no plywood sheet here, because it is the place for the large insert plate. Do you see it? The area without plywood sheet is lower. The result is that I milled too much, and I almost went through the board. Nothing that can't be fixed with a patch. And like that, I arranged it. Now I can align the screw with the hole and turn the knob. More problems. To make the screws of the insert plate hold better, I decided to glue some small wood blocks against the side strips. To level them with the strips, I should put a piece of the thin plywood under them. And a piece of paper, so that the glue that runs down does not stick them where they should not be glued. It happened what I was saying. On one of the blocks, the glue ran off, and it stuck a little to the board. The worst thing is that I didn't realize that I should level them with the wood strips. Like this, the big plate doesn't go into place. Well, I'm going to use the router to level them. While routing, I left these 2 strips of wood to make sure I always had support for the base of the router. I can now put the large insert plate back when I need it. Let's try this. Look how pretty it looks. Will it be as useful as it is pretty? And here we see how I can continue using the bolts to screw the router table to the work table top. And now, what happens? I should have installed this insert plate further forward. This hits against the workbench top. I mark the width on the board. I put a side stop on each side. And that strip to have more support surface for the base of the palm router. Now, it is perfect. It is almost there. The bad thing is that I have to put the insert plate with the router base, the router and the tool all together, and the height of the special tool already adjusted. Something was tripping. It was the cable. The height of the router bit and the tool with bearing are already adjusted, but now I can adjust the position of the bearing. I have already made a first milling of the interior recess of this round wooden frame. This is best done this way, giving it more width little by little. We will see in other videos how I made this frame for the Beatles metal sign. I leave you the links in the description. Thanks for watching the video, and if you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.